everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast in which we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate The Last Jedi, one calculated minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.fun, which I bought just to be that way for Alex.
Oh, join the fun gang.
Yeah, I wanted to be fun.
Greg,
I'm Greg
be fun too?
Wyshynski. I'm Greg Wyshynski of ESPN, where it's fun to cover
fun.
Sports.
Fun
But we
zone.
got ESPN.com. We didn't have to get .fun.
Do they have...
Although we probably own it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll have to check that out.
Right.
If in between when this is recorded and when it airs, I may have to check that out and then have a conversation with the... No, that's going to
Are you
going to
cyber squat Disney?
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Because all I want to do is make Disney angry right now, right?
I don't think it's going to really...
business.
I don't think it's going to really be in your best interest to try to cyber squat a Disney property.
No.
Well, Greg, thanks for coming back and joining us for another week.
Oh, no, I'm thrilled to be back. As longtime listeners of the Star Wars Minute know, when Greg Wyshynski's on the scene, people gonna die.
The Grim Reaper.
So it's very exciting. To recap, right? I was here for Ewok Death and Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Nanta? Ramba? What was that one's name? The one who died? Nikki.
Nikki was one of
here.
them.
Nikki the Ewok lover.
Okay,
Right.
so wait. So I was here. So Ewoks in Jedi, Qui-Gon in Menace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who died in Clones? Where I was there.
Our souls, our will to live.
Django.
Jango Fett. There you go.
Right.
And
then-
then, the heading
and
of
then
Django.
Right. And then I think I was there for Grievous dying. I don't think I was Anakin.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think it might have been Grievous.
And then, of course, in Force Awakens, I was there for, I believe, Han Solo, right? I assume. Or maybe. I don't know. Somebody died. And now here we are here, where this is underrated, one of the most genocidal moments in Star Wars that didn't involve a Death Star. You know what I mean? Or a Star Killer base, as it were.
Yeah, it involves death and a star, but we'll get there in a minute.
Many stars. Yes, let's start off by talking about minute 111. Minute 111. That starts off with Amy Lynn Holdo getting ready to maneuver the Raddus into hyperspace. And then it ends a minute later with Finn getting ready to have his head chopped off with a vibro blade.
New vibro blade from Gillette.
Screw it, we'll do 5.
Yeah.
So yes, what should we start with? Well, I guess first we start off with Rey and Kylo Ren doing their dueling over Anakin's old lightsaber.
Right before that,
Uh-huh.
because it starts out with Hux and Peavy, right?
Yeah.
Where they're looking at the things going by, and we get a moment. We get basically this is the equivalent of Harry Shearer and the other guy at the beginning of Star Wars being like, "There goes another one. Like, hold your fire. No life forms aboard." And so here they're they're watching the escape pods go, and they're like, and then they see the Raddus turning around, and they're like, "Oh, she's fleeing into hyperspace," and it's like, it's okay, it's empty, let it go. So this is that same,
with a little dash of Tarkin's,
right?
Evacuate in our moment of triumph. Yeah. And I did love. So who's the lieutenant guy there? Who's his little helper on the bridge?
It's Peavy.
His name is Peavy.
Peavy is Adrian Edmondson from The Young Ones. It's
oh my God, I never put that together.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, anyways, his rolling his eyes and being like, "Okay, dude," to Hux was one of my favorite moments of the scene for sure. Could have done with a lot more of him in this movie. He's a delight.
Really, that if they would have just done a whole movie, but like we've talked before about getting the old DVD thing with different angles, and if you could just watch this whole movie with Hux and Peavy, just watch what's going on with them the whole time. I think that would be pretty I don't know. I don't know if it would sustain the whole movie. I don't know if you want to watch them for like 2 hours plus, but definitely there are times I'd be like, what's going on with them? And you get to see their little routine. It would be great.
I think we're all of a certain age. Did you watch The Young Ones on MTV when it was on?
I didn't, because I didn't have MTV, and MTV was at my grandparents' house, so I was, but I knew of it.
Like, you're not getting that. You're not getting that on the TV at grandma and grandpa's
Well, my
house,
grandparents were Kurt Loder and Tabitha Soren, so. No, it was, you know, I missed it then, but then everybody was buzzing about it by the time, you know, Cool Things. By the time I started getting interested in Cool Things, people were buzzing about it, and so I found it a little bit later on. But
yeah, and then obviously that led to your Drop Dead Fred fandom later on.
Of course, yeah. That phase that we all had.
So have you guys talked about these First Order officers' uniforms yet?
A bit.
Okay, so on the Empire, the rank were the little tire inflation gauges, and they put them on the
cylinders.
Right, they put them on the sleeve, right?
Mm-hmm.
They look kind of ridiculous being on the front of the shirt, to be quite candid.
By the way, some of them are in the pocket.
Yeah.
On the Imperial ones, right? I think they're sleeve and pocket.
I remember the Imperial ones having just a little insignia, like you'd see on dude from Rogue One, and then also like on what's his face from the novels,
Thrawn.
Yeah, Thrawn, right, with that classic, you know, like we just have that little insignia there. But this one just
like this is the hat that I'm wearing. The
Imperial... that thing, right? Exactly, right. So the way that they have these tire inflation gauges on this guy's shirt, I mean, it just looks it looks stupid. He looks like a I mean, it looks like a chic mechanic to me.
It looks like they were further out to the side, but they were still on the body. They were like they're way closer to the chest on these First Order guys, whereas they were almost at the sleeve, but technically on the body. I'm doing some background research here. On the Imperials, it was like it might as well be your sleeve at that point. It was like almost in the armpit.
This one looks like he has nipple levers, for lack of a better term, and I didn't really think that was a very becoming look for again a organization that is very fashion forward, much like its precursor.
Do I make that the title of the episode, or will that get flagged by YouTube? We'll find out.
So I guess they're evolving so that over time, so like 20 years from now, when they do the next one, they'll just be right in the middle. The synergy will be complete, and they will have moved all the way from the arms into the center of the.
And it looks like the middle of your rib cage,
like a band of them all the way around.
Oh, I like it. I guess there must be someone at the First Order who's in charge of like deciding, like, you know, like the what the uniforms look like and everything.
Oh, totally. Well, that's that. Or it might be the documentary about that person. That's what we.
And maybe there's or a documentary on the like Imperial seamstress.
Right. Which I think is all droids, right? We definitely have sartorial droids. Wasn't that there was a listing for them? I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
But there has to be a designer. There has to be like the Halston of the First Order, who's just kind of like programming the droids to make the outfits.
General Admiral Halston. Have you watched that? Speaking of which, Ewan McGregor's in that Halston thing, right? Did they just do a Ewan McGregor where he plays Halston?
Oh, I don't know.
He did, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, keeping it on brand.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to mention, since I haven't done any of the episodes yet, that I never minded the slow moving chase. I know that was a big issue for a lot of people in the movie. I felt it was derivative of Battlestar Galactica. And I never really had too much of an issue with it. I know that other people did. I mean, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense logically, but from a narrative standpoint, I found it to be fine for what they were doing in the film.
Right.
Yeah. It's the thing. The thing that people say, whereas if it works for the story, like if you don't care, if they can make you not care about it, then it's okay. You know what I mean? It's logical fallacies are fine if it doesn't if the plot works, if it moves forward
Yeah.
and you're wrapped up in it, then cool. Then it's a
I
type of
ended
thing
up
that you
not-
think about it later, and you're like, oh, yeah, well, I guess I did.
Yeah, I ended up not caring. I ended up being like, this is fine. I mean, it kind of gave it like it was like It Follows, right? You know, just like this thing constantly stalking you as you're trying to escape it. It was fine.
Right. What? I don't know. That could be a whole different thing. I haven't seen It Follow, so I'm making up my assumptions.
It's a movie about it's an allegory for sexually transmitted disease.
Okay.
And how that can literally follow you around if you are I guess promiscuous or whatever. Like the best horror, it's based on, you know, our real life fears of herpes.
Exactly. Space herpes.
Space herpes.
Now
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
god.
think now-
Ice pirates, baby.
Now I'm going to think of this movie as a metaphor for us. Now I'm going to think of this slow chase as a metaphor
for
STDs.
herpes, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Spreads the First Order spreads throughout the galaxy,
Yeah.
brings pain
Emerald-
and discomfort to
Emerald
many.
pox.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of diseases, chaos and sweat was my next note, which is what we see when we cut to the aftermath of the Rey and Kylo duel action. They haven't been dueling with each other, but they just wrecked shop in the old man Snoke's boudoir, and now it's just chaos and sweat. There's stuff on fire. There's stuff that's been destroyed, and they're sweaty. And I like that they're like, it looks like they just exerted themselves. That wasn't
true.
a metaphor. That it looks like they exerted themselves. Yeah.
Although, I mean, given the chaste nature of Star Wars, I think their sort of side-by-side battle is the closest we'll get to a lovemaking scene in a Star Wars film. Like, them killing guys is as close as we'll get to, you know.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, the sweatiest quasi-sexual thing we've ever seen in Star Wars was Anakin waking up from that nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
About his mom.
About his mom. That's right. But he was shirtless, so you know.
Right.
I have to admit that I remember seeing this for the first time, and there was a moment during this segment with Rey and Kylo where I bought the possibility of there being a Rey heel turn. Like I thought it could be a thing where she decides to go with him, and then episode 9 is like her friends bringing her back from this, you know, bad decision she made. I actually thought there was a chance that she might take his hand, and that would be like the big twisteroo in the movie. But not to be.
Yeah,
I think that would have been exciting.
It would have. You know that they had to have at least thought about that, but they I feel like there's too much goodwill that they had already kind of created. Too much was invested in Rey being this kind of heroine, and the crowd that it was attracting, as far as, you know, getting young girls into the new Star Wars movies, and kind of, and not even young girls, but just getting girls, you know, more girls in Star Wars, and like that. There's a certain
she would have been reduced to being a damsel again, because you would have had Finn and
trying
Poe
to save her,
and then it just kind of gets away from the empowerment thing that they were trying to do. I think that's probably where you were going with that, and I think that's a fair point.
Yeah, and also just that even if it's only temporary, but her turning evil might have kind of put off a lot of, you know, makes it harder to sell lunchboxes, but like, have you seen all the Kylo Ren merchandise? Have you seen like the amount of Darth Vader stuff that you can have?
Yeah,
that's a different audience, though. Like,
yeah,
the girls who are buying Rey costumes are not also the ones buying cool, dark, gritty, you know, maybe, but
that was all in air quotes, cool, dark, gritty.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, they'd have to give her a cool mask, is what you're trying to say, I think.
Right.
In order to properly market her.
Based on what Alex just said, and since this is, you know, you're putting me in a hockey mindset, dark, gritty. Let's table that. Let's send that to the. Let them know that that's on the table. Well, I said it.
That already dark, gritty? Isn't dark, gritty already the dark version of the mascot? So you should be looking for light, gritty. Is what you should be.
Right.
He builds a Death Star that just shoots t-shirts.
Well, we when this came out once before, and I know you're also a wrestling fan, so I likened it. I was like, well, if they can do it with Hulk Hogan and with Bailey, like Bailey is the most kind of 1-to-1, I think, with like the people that were into Bailey
Yeah.
it's a similar vibe where it's just like, oh, this is bringing a kind of pure, hopeful young girls into they care about this character in a way that they didn't for a lot of other characters.
Right. And I mean, it also kind of speaks to, not to get completely ahead of ourselves here, but it speaks to sort of the backlash there was against any sort of shipping between Kylo and Rey as well. It would have probably stepped over that line for people too. So I mean, in theory, for a lot of reasons, it's probably the best that they didn't go down that road. But it would have been a fun narrative choice,
sure,
to have that happen.
Yeah, so they get into this duel, this gravity duel over Anakin's old lightsaber.
Yeah.
And I think it's weird because it seems like they're standing like 5 feet away from each other, but yet they're all like, basically like the lightsaber might as well be touching both of their hand. Like, it seems like they could just step forward and punch the other one and then just grab the lightsaber rather than use your force powers at that point. You're so close to each other.
Yeah.
So
it's a weird. I have to say, I don't like the battle over the lightsaber part. I like it. I mean, theoretically, I like the idea of what's going on here, but I don't like it played out like this. I don't like it being a force, magical force battle over the lightsaber. And I know that's, that comes from my quibbles with the force use and partially stuff like that. But
and
I also
lightsabers.
don't like. I feel like that this is a little sillier than what we just like coming off the how do you follow the throne room battle? I don't know, but I don't really love the outside of the things there are some awesome things in this week, but you'll find there's a couple of things that I have problems with in this week too, and that's the.
Was it a little too Harry Potter for you? It was a little bit two wizards using their wands and big forces of energy coming and pushing each other back and stuff.
We should have seen that, like phosphorescent goo shooting at each other.
Yes.
Those Harry Potter characters, phosphorescent goo.
They had to kind of somehow physically manifest magic in the Harry Potter films, and what Pete's getting at is like it was this sort of drippy neon liquid that became the manifestation of magic in the wizard battles. So
Slimer and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. They made a Slimer.
Well,
it was really jarring when Harry and Voldemort had their big showdown, and all of a sudden their magic turned into a glob eating hot dogs, which we thought was very strange.
Why not to play, movie viewer quarterback or whatever? That I don't know what the term is for that, but
you could literally say Monday morning quarterback. The movies come out on Friday.
There you go. So, but like, why not have them like instead of fighting? And I understand what the significance of Anakin / Luke / Rey's lightsaber here, but why not? There's another lightsaber in play. Like, wouldn't this be cool if Kylo had the Anakin lightsaber still, and Rey had grabbed Kylo's lightsaber, and they just had, instead of like pulling at this one lightsaber, if they were just kind of clashed sabers and were just kind of paused, not doing a full on duel, but just kind of like like staring each other down with lit sabers for a little bit, instead of just kind of pulling at the same. And part of this, granted, is moving on. We're like, oh, well, we know that the saber just gets repaired, so this doesn't really mean as much as it did. But the destruction of the lightsaber ends up being a thing. But like, why not have them kind of clash sabers? I think that would be more effective than wizard duel.
Well, when does the lightsaber get fixed again?
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
it's fixed in between.
Right. So this is why, because this movie is very much on a path of breaking with the past.
Right.
And I think that shattering the lightsaber fits that motif, which then, of course, much like everything in this movie, got retconned in the next one. So that's why I think they probably did it. Is that it's sort of a piece with the rest of the things that Rian Johnson is trying to study and navigate through in the film.
So the lightsaber, if this was like a political cartoon, there'd be like the lightsaber would be labeled like the future of Star Wars or something. And then you have the two sides trying to pull,
Right. Then you got a donkey and an elephant, and one's wearing an Uncle Sam hat.
Yeah. Taxation of trade routes and all sorts of
right.
And concerned parents are looking in the window.
Yeah, exactly.
And then and like the Statue of Liberty's over in the corner with her arms crossed. She's like, "What's going on here?" Yeah. Every political cartoon is basically the same.
Yeah. Alex, now you have to make that cartoon. So
I will.
But then we cut to the execution scene.
Phasma.
And do they just have executioners standing around? Like, are these guys just like on call, or did they were they stormtroopers that were just kind of like, okay, wait, hang on, let me swap clothes here? Or did they, once they caught some prisoners, were they like, all right, like, hey, get the executioners ready? And they're like, all right, we're finally.
It says here in the visual dictionary that there is not a specific job of executioner.
Oh.
That when they need one, any stormtrooper, executioner troopers are not drawn from a specialist infantry unit. Rather, it is a role that any standard stormtrooper may find him or herself in on that day's assignments. So there you go. So basically they say, you're the lucky one today. You get to put on the black and white cookie costume and go execute somebody.
It was very black and white cookie costume.
Or they go to Cruella de Vil sort of look to it.
So they go to the duty roster, and it's just like, okay, 3248, you're in sanitation. 3649, executioner. Like, and normally it's a cushy gig, I bet, because it's like, well, nobody's going to get executed, so you just get to kind of sit around in the cool armor all day. But then, lo and behold,
what the question I had about this scene, was the whole point of the slicey things was to make it hurt more.
Yeah,
and. Weird. Yeah, we're in a room with, by my count, 3,000 stormtroopers. If they all put their blasters on stun and just shot them over and over again until they died, I feel like that might hurt more and linger more and be more painful than simply just like a guillotine is it's a clean slice. You know what I mean? Like it's the whole point of
Yeah, maybe they started like at the feet and then slowly sliced their way up.
And well,
you know what I mean?
In theory, that would be great, right? But they had them right by their necks, so I just assumed they were just going to decapitate them. To me, that's not like, outside of the horrific anticipation of one's demise, it doesn't seem like that is the most painful way you could dispatch these traitors.
Well, what if they're going? It's not going to be like a chop. What if they're just going to slowly cut through their neck?
I guess that would be bad too.
I guess.
Yes, the executioners. Blaster's too good for them. Let's make this hurt, is what Phasma says. You a Phasma fan, Greg? How do you feel about Phasma in general?
Unrealized potential. But at the same time, basically just a Boba Fett for a new trilogy. You know, someone who looks cool and has some interaction with our people, but ultimately just a level 3 of a 6th level NES side scrolling game.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I'll want to bring that up. We have some more. Obviously, we have some more Phasma, so I'm gonna come back to my feelings on Phasma too. But yes, I would say unrealized potential is definitely a theme for Phasma.
Yeah, and we're kind of angry. Not angry. That's a bit extreme. We're disappointed she didn't show up in the third one.
We're not mad. We're disappointed.
Yes, exactly. So, one thing I noticed is that Rose is wearing her little pendant.
Yeah.
On the outside, which I'm like, even if they hadn't been caught, that seems like that would have gotten them caught.
It does. Yeah, that's true. Because like they were still. I think they were past the guards when she got it back, though, because they had already kind of.
Right.
Right.
DJ had used it to open the door and then tossed it back to her, so she probably just threw it on. She was like, "Well, we're already sneaking into the thing. If they see us here now, we're
Right.
We're
She didn't put it in
cooked
her
anyway, so.
pocket, or put it around her neck and then tuck it under. She just said, "You know what?
yeah."
I'm a proud. What is
Yeah.
she? A Haitian? Haitian?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
it possible
Yes.
that
Possible.
this was just some old school punishment, wherein if you stole something back in the day, they would cut off your hands
Mhm.
as punishment? Do you think it's because they hired a slicer that they then must be sliced?
Wow, nice.
The ironic punishment division.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'm trying to think of what. Yeah. What are the other? I guess most of them. I'm sure most of the executions are bounty hunter related, right? What
You
do
would
they get?
imagine so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get
All right.
crushed by a wall of paper towels.
For Dengar?
Yep, that's why he looks like that.
Because you get squeezed by all the.
Right.
Well, anything else for minute 111?
When are we doing the ranking? Last one or now?
You want to do it now? Want to get out of the way?
I leave it up. I'm not the host.
Now
Tell me when to do it.
we've been leaving it up to the guest because we've also realized that sometimes adding rankings makes it a bit divisive, so we don't want to force people into it. But if you're eager,
You sound like you're ready to go.
yeah. Well,
Luckily, my superpower is not giving a.
Right, there you go.
So,
mm-hmm,
starting from the bottom,
mm-hmm.
Rise of Skywalker, obviously, 'cause it was terrible.
I love it, but go on.
Attack of the Clones.
I'm back on board.
Revenge of the Sith,
Mm-hmm.
which I believe is maybe the most. Oh wait, do I have to include Solo and Rogue One here?
Yes.
Traditionally, yes.
You must.
All right, then Attack of the Clones, then Solo.
Hmm.
I liked Solo a little bit more than Attack of the Clones, I think. Then Revenge of the Sith, which I think is overrated.
I'm with you.
I'm typing my things. I don't forget where they go. Okay, so Rise of Skywalker,
Mm-hmm.
Attack of the Clones,
Mhm.
Solo,
Mhm.
Revenge of the Sith. It's overrated. Rogue One, which is 1/3 of a movie. We've talked about this many times before. I feel that you could flip on Rogue One as soon as they go to the Empire
Seraph.
Library planet or whatever. And the only thing you've missed is the first test of the Death Star, which
Right.
was awesome. But like, you could pick up that movie right on the at the assault, and you've got yourself a tight little 40 to 45-minute movie, and the rest of it is immaterial.
I'll do you one further. I think you could pick up that. You could start that movie after Princess Leia gets the Death Star plans. I think really you could really just take it from there.
It's a sort of a bastardized version of Name That Tune. I thought you were going for there. I could start that movie in minute 135. So after Rogue One, Phantom Menace, as I am a longtime apologist for the Phantom Menace, I think it's a noble failure, but also an entertaining movie that gave us a lot of stuff that's still resonates a lot more than the things that came after it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was unfairly maligned at the time. And I think history has been kinder to it, mainly because it doesn't look like a video game cutscene for most of the movie, only for
parts.
the end of the movie. Then Force Awakens. And then it gets a little complicated because I love Last Jedi in a huge way. I think as a film, it is probably second to Empire as a work of cinema. Well, let me rephrase that. As a work of cinematic art, from story to visuals to performance, it's probably second to Empire. But it ranks fourth for me because I still think that the original trilogy is the best. And as per usual, it goes Jedi Empire and A New Hope, because I had to hesitate before, because Empire is the best film in the Star Wars saga, but it is not the best cinema of the Star Wars saga, which is A New Hope, which is one of the most, again, visceral, kinetic film going experiences you could possibly have. And it's just magic in a way that none of the other films could ever be. Maybe because it was first, maybe just because it was, lightning in a bottle, but it's just the best for me.
So based on that, it seems like what you're saying is that, a couple of exceptions noted, that in general, like the first Star Wars movie was the best and the most recent Star Wars movie was the worst. Does that mean basically that they're just generally getting weaker as they go?
No, because I think Last Jedi outkicks the prequels. I think it's better than Rogue One. Like and again, the tough thing for the saga going forward is, what kind of narrative leaps are you willing to make? Because Last Jedi was a bold departure from the formula, and for me it worked, and for others it really didn't. And so that's the kind of thing you have to kind of figure out. And maybe it's like the MCU, where you've got basically the same people that made the Winter Soldier, made the Avengers, later on, the later Avengers films. It's all kind of, they're all
interconnected.
I mean, for better or worse, an assembly line. And then you have these little, offshoots of Taika Waititi making an interesting film, and things like that. So it'd be interesting to see if there's an alignment for Star Wars in that sense of like the same person. JJ does all three of the main trilogy things, and then you allow other filmmakers to make interesting stuff like Miller and Lord were going to do with Solo. It didn't work out, but I think it'd be an interesting direction for that to go, because maybe even as a Last Jedi fan, maybe it was just too jarring to have a director with such a distinct vision in Rian Johnson kind of parachute into the trilogy and make a sharp turn towards something that I really enjoyed, but maybe it was a little bit too sharp for other people.
Yeah.
It is. It's a bit like trying to think of like what's a fancy delicate food on like a Wonder Bread sandwich. You know what I mean? It's like kind of know what you're getting, and it's a fairly, it's not bad, but it's like okay, like JJ providing the beginning and the end is a little bit.
If the first the appetizer's nachos with like 7-Eleven, squirt cheese on it, and then the second course is duck breast with a foie foam, and then the third course is like a banana split. It's like one of these things is not like the other. The middle course should definitely be like a cheeseburger,
right?
So that's kind of how it felt for me here.
Yeah, this is almost like a someone deconstructing a cheeseburger, The Last Jedi.
Right.
It's like, oh wow, I could really see how this is. It evokes a cheese. It's different, but it still evokes. That's
an excellent point. Yeah, like it's you expect a cheeseburger, and then you get like, the dish where like the meat's over here and the cheese is a foam, and then it's like, it's not ketchup. It just looks like ketchup.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good point. So that's it'd be interesting to see how they take the series. But again, like I make no apologies about loving Last Jedi. I thought it was fantastic. I find it very rewatchable. It's not. I'm not an apologist. It's not a perfect movie. But it's
none of them.
Its high points are so high, and I'm not on the minute, and I'm not gonna get too far ahead of myself. But
well, why don't we?
I never really agreed with the people that had a problem with the Luke thing either.
Luke being a hermit.
Or any of it. Like I think it all fits who he was and what he logically would become.
Totally.
Right. Yes. Well, anyway, we have a lot more to discuss about The Last Jedi for the rest of the week. So let's wrap up minute 111. And Greg, I think you'll have some free time to return tomorrow?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you know,
Okay.
sure. Why not? Yeah, that'd be fine.
Your enthusiasm's a little overwhelming, but
Yeah.
we'll hopefully it'll
Tone it down a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, guess what, everyone? Did you know that in addition to YouTube and various podcasting feed devices, we are available on Spotify? That's right.
Oh,
It's
okay.
we are partnering up with the huge music megalith to bring you podcasting. So go check that out on
Wow.
Spotify.
StarWarsMinute.com/Spotify will get you there.
Star
Fantastic.
Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.